think we're going again. I have it up and running. We are streaming. Are we live? Can you hear us? Is audio scuffed?
It works. There we go.
For whatever reason,
we need to start streaming for like 1 second and then just restart it.
I don't know. For whatever reason, OBS is just like, it hates me. Yeah, John, you're frozen. You're
no, I'm not still. That's how I operate. I like to conserve my energy.
So yeah, welcome everyone. We appreciate y'all coming out and sticking through our technical difficulties.
As is tradition around here.
As is tradition. I'm still not sure what's going on. I might have to just completely uninstall OBS and reinstall it and see what's going on with that. But ooh, Krellbit, that sounds nice. Today, like I said, we got John from Zap Cables coming out to talk a little bit about some things he's got going on, some things we're going to have coming in, and things we're going to be doing together in the next couple weeks. But first, can you explain this this picture we've got up for you?
I can explain it. Yeah, for sure. So that image, that's me, like photoshopped a bit. I mean, this is going to sound like the craziest story ever told on Mechs on Deck, but that image is part of a set of 3 images. Actually, me and 2 others were a 3-man competitive skee-ball team, believe that or not. And so every year,
most interesting man in the world.
Right. So like every season, skeezin, I should say. Everything's a skee-ball pond in competitive skee-ball. So every skeezin, you'd have like a night where you'd take team photos. And we would always, and like our whole thing was like we were the evilest team in the league. So we would boycott team photo night and do our own team photos every night, because we had me on the team, who I was at the time a professional graphic artist. We had a professional photographer on the team, and we had a professional PR guy on the team. So we're like, we're just every season going to come up with the best photos that we can possibly dream up. So this year that you're looking at, this image here is from, we did like these formal portraits, like in a painterly style. We printed them out on canvas and then we framed them and we hung them in the bar where we rolled skee-ball. It's kind of a legendary story, but that's where that came from. I'm looking for an image. I think I have an image of the full team. Yep, there we go. Hold on, I'm gonna link it.
Are those Boom. Still hanging up in the bar?
So as far as I know, yeah. I mean, it's been, probably 5 or 6 years at least. But as far as I know, they're still there.
Wow,
that's an amazing picture.
Yeah. So that one's kind of low res that I linked, but the full res are pretty nice. And we printed duplicate copies, of course. So I have a hard copy of that one too, a framed version of that. It's not hanging up anywhere, sadly, but I do have it.
You gotta get one of these printed and put it above like your put it like above your fireplace in your house, and have people when they come in, they ask the question, you get to tell them this cool skee-ball story.
Right, real formal. I would feel kind of bad though doing just me. Like I gotta have the full team up there. That's the kind of commitment we have. Like we roll tight.
But then slowly throughout the years, you can come up with like a crazy story that has nothing to do with skee-ball and like completely change the meaning of the image.
Right. Well,
and they just make it different every time, and then that way people never really know the true meaning behind the painting.
It's genius. I love it.
Thoughts?
So really quick before we get started, quick shout out to our sponsor Krellbit, or switchmod.net. You can go to switchmod.net, use our promo code MECHSONDECK for 4% off. I believe he is taking pre-orders for at least 3203 and 3204, and he also has stickers now. So if you want to get extra Mimi on there, you can do that. And no longer not sponsored.
No longer not sponsored. Speaking of that, I think there's something that we kind of have a little announcement of that. I know we're excited to be kind of partnering with you, John, with Zap Cables.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing some content, some different cable stuff that's going to be coming out in the next couple weeks. don't know if Chewy, you want to go into a little bit more detail as to what that entails.
Oh, John sent me a sticker. That's all that. No, I'm kidding. Um,
It's good product placement. Chewy. Nice.
yeah,
work.
it's just casual sip of the beverage. No, so we have some really cool stuff coming out. So I will start by saying give credit where credit is due. One of our mods who owns probably more Zap cables than anybody else, was like, "Oh yeah, come to the Discord." And so we got to talking, and then we were talking one night over a game of Overwatch, and we were like, "Oh, we don't see the, I personally tried the DIY cable route and failed miserably." And we were talking, and John kind of came up with the idea of like, "Oh, I've been wanting to make a video of how do like a DIY how to," and so we just kind of said, "Well, hey, let's make it." So this next Tuesday, we are going to be releasing a video that is a DIY guide with John. He's going to be walking myself, someone who is incredibly incompetent building a cable, and Eric, who is much more competent at building a cable. And he's going to walk us through and see how we do. And I'm excited. I know Eric's excited. I know John, I hope, is excited. So,
I mean, look at my face. I am the
stoic.
I'm the face of excitement.
Yeah, you look absolutely over the moon about doing this.
I couldn't be happier. Just look at me.
But no,
I'm totally excited. I think it's gonna be awesome. Like you mentioned, I've been reluctant in getting some sort of any DIY content out there, really, like video or otherwise. It's something that we've had on our list forever and just haven't had time to do a good job of it. So being able to walk through a DIY kit with y'all, I think will be great.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's gonna be cool. I already see some people in the chat saying that they've tried to do it and they didn't necessarily have it turn out the way they had expected or the way they wanted. So it'll be really cool to be able to kind of hear from the master himself on how to do a DIY cable.
Yeah, it'll be great. It's actually pretty forgiving. There's little tips and stuff that make it a little easier, but I think it'll be good.
So, and then with that, we're not releasing all of the details yet, but we will release the details on the video. We are going to be running a little promotion through Zap Cables with the DIY kits. Get a little extra off, so you can really get started, or maybe just buy a couple extra pieces. So if you do mess up, you can save a little money on those extra pieces, just the just in case oopsies that could happen if you are as bad. I can build a keyboard, I can't build a cable.
Always a good idea to get a couple extra connectors. Those are easy to screw up.
Yeah,
happens to everybody.
Yep. So, and then last but not least, before I can stop talking and you guys can listen to John and his stoic demeanor, want to say thank you to Singapore and Slippery Pete. Was that C Noob, Lonely Lumen, Sergeant Pickles, Lefak. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these. GOM, the Durba, Functionality with a PH, Trace of Base, Sophia Wooks, and Krelbit. Thank you guys for the follow.
No, we appreciate it. So, John, there's something that I'm kind of curious about with Zap Cables. How did it all start? Like, how did you go from being a skee-ball master to being a keyboard cable savant?
Sure. Well, thanks for recognizing my skee-ball dominance, first of all. Second of all, it was just pretty organic, really. It really started at a point about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years back when I was building a new computer, and, I had never really invested much time or money in, certain like specific custom cables for a computer build. So that build was sort of the first one where I did that, and I'd purchased some like some PSU cables and some other cables for this build that I was doing, because I wanted it to be really nice and sort of, go together with the theme. So I purchased them at that point and just really liked them. And so I was like, oh, like I'm going to need more of these for this build. So I tried my hand at making some of my own. It didn't really go very well. So I ended up ordering more. But from that point on, I just sort of started making my own. It sort of, it was one of those things where it's like I tried it and it didn't come out really great. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep trying it because now it's like I started it. So I have to figure out how to do this right. And so that's how it started, just really with my own build, and then started slowly making some for some people after that, just real organically, sort of like on a trade level or just for like a favor maybe. And then at some point, opened the website and did a little post or two on Reddit, and it just grew steadily, sort of organically from there. We've never really had to advertise or do much. It's just all been word of mouth. So the growth was kind of slow, but it happened pretty naturally just through Reddit and just through talking with people through the website.
Yeah, I feel like even for me, the way I learned about Zap Cables was literally just I was looking at a picture of a keyboard on Reddit and
Mm-hmm.
they had a sweet cable and I was like, that looks awesome. What is that? And then everyone
Yeah.
typically puts a full detail of what's in their keyboard, and if they have
Right.
a fancy cable, they put where it's from and what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
Zap Cables looked it up and I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet. This is a lot of options.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that is kind of how it just started. It was real word of mouth. I mean, people posting images, like you said, of their builds, or posting their keyboards, and like you said, maybe it's like not even a focus of the image, but it's kind of in there. So someone might go, "Oh, where did you get that?" And then someone would drop the name, and that just really started to kind of spread. Um, and then as the website kind of got better, I think it became a little easier for people to check it out and learn a little bit more, sort of outside of Reddit.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
you're at that point where it's like Gigi Supa says it in the chat where
Mhm.
you put something up and it sells out in 20 seconds. I know last week when you released those the fades, I was like I was trying to get in on one, and as soon as it went up, I tried to put one in my cart, and by the time I hit purchase, they were already gone. So
Yeah, that one was tough. It was literally, that one was so hard because there was only 10. Like that one
Yeah.
was literally just like we sort of did it just for fun, really, as an experiment. It's like, oh, these are cool, we should sell them. So like, well, we only have 10. Like, well, screw it, we'll just put them up, and so hopefully they'll go quick. And yeah, they went quick. But yeah, that's the hardest part, really, is just the difficulty we have sort of keeping up. I mean, whenever we open, and anyone who's been paying any attention knows, like, we've tried tons of different stuff, like different ways to just sort of open orders, and every one of them just seems to sort of be a flood of orders, which is awesome, but managing it is really hard for us. So we're trying different stuff. Obviously, like, the only real solution is going to be for us to be able to fulfill a demand. So we're working on that, but it's kind of like stopgap measures in the meantime as we try and make it as convenient as we can, even though it's really hard.
Yeah, I remember whenever I got my first Zap cable, because I found it the same way, Reddit. That, when you're spending that much on a keyboard and you're like, oh, I got this dinky Amazon cable, and now I want to go I want to match this dude who spent, not that, for a cable it's expensive, but for, the hobby, this is one of the cheapest things you can get.
Right.
I remember getting in on it, and it was like, oh, we're backed up 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I get it. This guy's, building cables as fast as he can. And then I was like, oh, sweet, I want another one. And it was like, it's backed up 4 weeks now. It's like, all right, well, hey, at least this company's growing. That's cool. And then I was like, I think I'm gonna get a third. I think, and it was like, nope, closed orders. I was like,
Yeah.
all right. So
Well,
it was cool. It was cool to watch you grow, though. I was like, I didn't even know who you were at the time. I hadn't met you yet, and it was like really cool to be like, oh man, cool.
Right.
Like this. I mean, I'm literally using this a winter green, I believe, is
Mhm.
the colorway to charge my phone right now.
Look at that matching. Nice.
Yeah, it's got always got to get the matchy. So, but yeah, so it's I know we've talked a little bit about the kind of like how to solve the issue, but unfortunately it's tough and you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a balancing act of like what what pain do you want to try and ease? Like, we could leave orders open longer and make that process a little more convenient for people, but
Mm.
the wait times would stretch out pretty far, I think, pretty quick. So it's kind of a balancing act of, do you want a really long wait time, or do you have really limited sort of windows of availability? And both of them are like sucky solutions. Um, so that makes the decision even worse. But uh, for us, the super long timelines are worse. Just because it sucks to order cable and pay for it and then not have anything for over a month, let's say. And for personally too, like for us to be sitting on a pile of orders that high is pretty daunting. Like it's intimidating and stressful. So we just try and keep it as manageable as we can until we're at the point where we have more hands and can make cables faster.
Yeah, which is rough because right now it's just you and your wife, correct? That are putting these cables together and shipping them out.
Yep. Yep. Me and my wife run Zap full time. It's been like that for most of this year. And we're in the middle of hiring some people right now. Like we've been interviewing a couple new people this week, and soon I hope to be 3 or 4 people, like by the end of the month. So hopefully that will start to step us out into like being able to be open more regular.
That's awesome. And
Yeah, I'm super stoked.
I saw that I saw that you had posted something about that, about trying to get some more new people in, and I also saw some other things. You have something going up tomorrow for sale.
Yeah, so the way we're doing things right now anyway is we've got a schedule on our website where we sort of, a handful of days out, as many days out as we can, we'll post just a date and a time and a product, that we'll make available. So tomorrow we're doing the sort of limited edition run we had made of these matte black detachable connectors. So we're selling detachable cables with the black detachable connector. Tomorrow those will go on sale. I believe it's 2 p.m. Central. Again, that's another one where the quantity is really limited. We only have 45 of them. It's kind of like a test batch, like
They're like 35 seconds.
right. So I have a feeling that one will be quick too, because the detachables are pretty popular. And since these are sort of a limited special thing, I think it'll make them even more popular. But I think they look awesome, so I already ordered a whole bunch more. So if someone misses out on this one, we should have some more soon.
Awesome. And where's the best place to kind of get that info? Is it your Discord?
Yeah, the Discord is good. We're most active there, and we post the most updates there. We sort of stepped off of Instagram a little bit just because it's just a time thing. Like we don't have as much time to put into the Instagram as we used to. So we still will post images and stuff, but we have a hard time keeping up with communication there. So we pretty much focus it all in the Discord or in our email, sort of through the website. We get a lot of email contact through the website. And those are the main ones. We're pretty much on those all the time. So if you're contacting us through Zap Cables, or if you're contacting us in the Discord, we're pretty much always there.
Awesome. And I think we, if you do want the link to the Zap Discord, I know Chewy just put it in there. It's !Zap. You follow that link, it'll take you to the Zap Cables Discord, so you can stay up to date and get in on these different drops that he does. Sometimes it's a lot of things, sometimes it's very few, and you got to be quick. So be quick.
Get
on
the fast hands.
There you go.
Crush that F5 key.
Right. Yeah, and it'll get better. Like I feel like, when the movie of Zap Cables is made, this is going to be like the sad, like lonely times when like we had to look deep inside of ourselves and like, make the hard decisions and like hit rock bottom. Like I feel sort of like that's where we're at. Like it's so hard because it feels really bad, like when you can't sell someone a cable and they want one. So
No,
just
the night is darkest just before the dawn.
right, exactly. That's what we're hoping anyway.
Well,
So I know that you spend a lot of time making cables, and that is obviously literally your job. But do you have something that is your favorite cable ever? What is
favorite
your
cable ever?
favorite paracord?
like the
Oh,
most
man.
optimal setup, like all the way from connector to on the keyboard to connector on the computer?
So the sad truth of John at Zap is like, I like a really basic cable. Like, I'm not a coils guy. I'm not really even a detachable connector guy. Like, I'm just like a straight cable guy. So pretty much all the cables that I have on my personal computer or like that we have on the cables at work are pretty much like straight cables with tech flex, or some kind of double sleeving tech flex or MDPCX. I like experimenting with what you can do with those sort of color wise. I did one recently that we posted on our Instagram where it was like a Serica kind of theme where it was like I think it was canary yellow cord and then it had the carbon tech flex over it, which is like a mix of black and clear. And that looked pretty sweet. Like, I really liked the way that turned out.
Yeah, I think Moon, our mod that helped bring you over to us,
Mm-hmm.
I think he was pretty stoked on that one and was trying to get one for himself.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Like, that one turned out super cool. My setup so that original computer that I was mentioning earlier, the color scheme on that one is like black and gray and red and green.
Mhm.
So I have like a lot of sort of green and black cables or green and red cables, or well, not green and red, like gray and red cables. So pretty much most of my personal cables are like variations of green and black and gray and red, I would say.
Wintergreen. Sorry.
All right. Well, now the exact opposite of the question. What is your least favorite cable to put together? Like if there was something that you were like, man, I kind of wish I didn't get as many of these ordered. What's the least favorite?
Right. Well, just I think my least favorite ones are just the ones that take me the longest because I can do the fewest of them.
Right.
So like, the most involved cable that we make would probably be like a one that has like a coated coil on it and a detachable. Like, that would take the longest. So I would say that's probably my least favorite. Although they end up looking really cool. So I end up really liking them. I just don't like how long they take. But it's sort of a love-hate thing. Like, they turn out really nice and you really like them, but then it's like, oh damn, that took me whatever, like an hour.
I was hoping for the reaction of some of the people in the chat of like, wait, I ordered one of those. Oh no.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like I would.
You heard it here first. Go and order that exact cable, as many as possible.
Right. Yeah, basically the ones we're selling tomorrow. Like, yeah, those. But no, it's like, of course, like, we love making them. It's just that's a kind of a selfish answer because like I want to be able to make as many cables as I can. So ones that slow us down are the ones that I'm like, oh, like I wish we could just do these faster.
Right. I didn't know if you had like a paracord that you're just like, man, this is just ugly.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, so not so much when it comes to looks, but there's definite variation in like how easy it is to put different cords on the raw cable. Some are like a little looser. Like, there's a little variation in like how sort of tight or loose they like squeeze the cable as you're trying to put it on. So the ones that go on a little easier are of course our favorites. The ones that are super hard are the ones we don't like as much. So and it kind of just varies. Like, there's no real pattern to it. Like, it kind of depends on the manufacturer and sort of how they do it mostly, I think.
I'm sure that as you work with different paracord companies and stuff, you realize, all right, this one's going to be a little bit tighter and maybe let's steer away from using this one and maybe use this other manufacturer that's a little bit, easier to get on and probably might look a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a little tricky because it seems like the ones that are the coolest patterns and like look the nicest are always the ones that are like the trickiest to get on. This is kind of like a double-edged sword, but they're all fine. There's just some are a little more stubborn. There's a couple that are just like total SOBs. Like light tan is one. If you ever order light tan, it might take a couple extra days. Light tan is a tricky one. We had to actually take one out of the store last week because the manufacturer must have changed something and it became too small to even put on. Like, it wouldn't.
Really?
They changed something about it. Like, this one color in particular, or maybe it's just a batch. Like, the one batch got bad, so we had to like remove the color because you couldn't even get it on at all. So that's the only time that's ever happened. But some of the other ones can be a little tricky.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm seeing a few people ask questions in the chat. If you can, we'll do a Q&A at the end with the chat. But yeah, make sure save them, and we'll definitely get to them. But if you can remember them, post them again later. We will do a Q&A at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of started making cables by building your first computer. When did you get into like the enthusiast mechanical keyboard game? Like what was the transition there?
Sure. It's probably about the same time. Like it hasn't been that long for me. I've only been around I would say the mechanical keyboard scene probably for about that same amount of time, 3 or 4 years. So my like deep background, sort of my career, Jesus. Okay, so backtrack even further. So I'm stupid old. Like I'm 40. So I had for about 15 years um I worked in like sort of creative agency life. Like I was a graphic designer and an art director and a creative director. And like throughout that whole time, it was always Mac based, right? Like so, I
Mhm.
always had a Mac um, for most of my adult life. Before college, I had PCs, but then once I got to college, it was all Macs. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I got so fed up with my Macintoshes that I'm like, I'm done with the Mac. Like I kicked them out the window, and I'm like, I'm building a new computer. And that was about the point when I started to dive back into, you know, okay, what's my PC going to be like? How am I going to build it? That sort of took me down the rabbit hole of I'm going to need a new keyboard, and it just sort of all fishtailed from there.
Yeah, I think both Chewy and myself are kind of in the same boat in terms of like we got into PC gaming, and then it was like, oh, you have to get a mechanical keyboard, and
Hmm.
then it was like, all right, well, what's the best, like the most optimal like mechanical keyboard you can get? And it's like, just make one yourself. Like, what's the coolest
Right.
way to do it? And then, so I definitely can see how that happens.
Yeah, it's been real refreshing. Like kind of having stepped away from just PC life in general for a while, getting back into it with keyboards and sort of with my new PC builds is really exciting. Like, and especially now since so much of it has become so much more convenient, like to
Mhm.
a new sort of person to the scene. Like that's what makes your guys's videos and stuff so good. I think is just really friendly to new people. Um, and I think just PC building and mechanical keyboard building in general is becoming a lot more friendly to people who maybe don't have as much experience with it. Um, so I think that's been awesome sort of transition over the last handful of years.
Yeah, it's definitely been awesome. Like I know, we just recently had the video of go up of hot swap versus like the DIY PCB stuff, and
Hmm.
the hot swap coming on the scene and really taking over, especially at the 60% range, has really made putting together your own custom keyboard super easy. And the fact that you have like Glorious making mechanical keyboards that are like,
Hmm.
I guess more or less for the normies that have hot swap,
The
Right.
it's pretty awesome.
normies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah,
I love it.
you could put together a custom board without having to solder anything, without having to like need any equipment really, other than a little screwdriver, pretty much.
Absolutely. So we didn't do this at the beginning, but what are you typing on today? What's on
Today I'm
everyone's
typing on.
desk?
Ooh,
Wait, are you
is it?
asking me this or
I
you?
smell a segue. I'm like, I can smell a segue.
Sure. So yeah,
Actually, you know what? Why don't we let John go last?
Yeah, let's let John go last. All right, Chewy,
Because
you go
yeah, great.
first.
I think this. So the other day, actually, speaking of hot swap, I literally took the switches in two separate boards and switched them, and it took me about 20 to 30 minutes. So TX60, everyone's seen it now with T1 switches in here. I wanted to try the T1 switches inside of a brass plate. Love the feel, sound. Honestly, not the most excited about the sound of it, but yeah, I would say that still a solid switch. But that's what I've been typing on this week.
All right, well, as of about 2 seconds ago, I changed it up because I've had the same keyboard on my desk for since I built it. But I actually brought home my what is my work board currently, because I'm gonna actually be changing out switches on this and doing some work to it in the next couple weeks. But it's actually an orange 75, a mal-white orange 75 that you see in the background sometimes with hyperfuse origins on it. It's got 78 gram Zelios and the loudest spacebar in the world. So it's a fantastic board. I didn't build it. I bought it and was like, oh, hey, I like it. So I'm going to be taking it apart, putting some Xylence in it to make it a little bit less painful for the people that work around me. But for right now, it's going to stay here. And if you've never seen the pizza slices, aka orange slices, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Spacebar sounds here.
Ooh, we should have warned
loud.
people.
All right, John, you're up.
Yeah, cool. So if I was at work, I would be typing on my Leopold FC660M. But I'm not at work. I'm at home, which means I'm typing on my bumper prototype. Yeah, and it's just got what is in it? It's got I don't even know what my 60% PCB that I put in is. It's got Kale Box burnt orange switches in it and DSA Dolce.
Ooh.
Yeah. And like red and green. So it's got a couple green keys mixed in. So it's my black and gray and red and green theme.
Got pics or it doesn't happen. That's what
pics
people
or it
are.
doesn't happen. Okay, well I'll post pics of here. There's the group buy link.
Yeah, I did post I posted the group buy link.
Sorry.
No worries.
My bad.
Many times you want, we can spam it.
Yeah, there's some images in there from my desk. So if you see pictures with the green and black desk mat underneath it, that's my desk.
All right, so that was the segue into the bumper conversation. So if anyone is not familiar,
bumped our way all the way into the conversation.
If anyone's not familiar with it, there's the Geek Hack link is there to the interest check. John's making a keyboard. He's making the bumper.
Pantry.
It's a MOQ of 50 units, correct?
Yep. So this will be our first sort of our first foot in the waters of a group buy. So I think we're sort of on the fence between 50 and 100, like just putting a cap on it just to keep it as manageable as we can, knowing that this is sort of our first group buy and we want to maintain as much control over the whole thing as we can, sort of start to finish. So keeping it small for like the first one seems like a smart way to do that. So probably it'll be 50 for the first one. And if that goes really well and things go smooth, knock wood, maybe we'll do another one right away. But for the first one, I think it'll be low. It'll probably be 50. And
Awesome.
there should be a good amount of options. Like within that 50, there should be good options in terms of the colors that you can put on it and the different kind of flippers that you can put in it. We may or may not have a PCB and a plate to go with it. It may just be the case. That's sort of something we're working on right now. That may or may not happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's so smart to go for a lower number. Like I know it does mean that some people that might have wanted it don't get it, but it's just smart to, especially on the first run.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what our thinking is too. If it's a success and people are happy with it, then it would be easy to do more later. And then if it goes bad, and something gets really screwed up, at least it's manageable and we can sort of like do damage control a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess my first question about the bumper is kind of where did it come from? Where did you get the idea for the design? I know some of these different group buys have like long backstories. Like how
I looked at a sports bra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing that rich and interesting. Well, so again, I keep referencing this computer build. So this computer that I mentioned before that I built a while back had like one of my favorite cases. It's an old Case Labs case, the Case Lab Bullet cases. I don't know if you're familiar, but they have kind of like, it's kind of like clamshell where it's like a U-shaped sort of cover that screws onto the top. So the original sort of sketches of the bumper were sort of built to kind of match with that a little bit, thinking like it was just a personal kind of project and like, oh, it'd be cool to have a keyboard that looks kind of like some of the vintage stuff, like the vintage IBM boards that kind of had the same kind of curves on them. The bullet case has kind of like these rounded corners that look real nice. So it kind of started with that, since it was just gonna be like a personal sort of project, like trying to match the case of my PC. As we sort of developed it a little bit more, the flippers sort of started to take shape, and it sort of started to meld nicely with another one of my hobbies, which is pinball. So like the little side panels, we call them flippers because they look like flippers on a pinball machine. Like it's called bumper again, which is a pinball reference. The lights that you can put in it with the polycarbonate sides are cool because it can light up and do some sort of pinball-y kind of things. So once that sort of light went off, that kind of helped bring it all together a little bit. But that's it. The deep origins are just kind of like something that was going to match this bullet case that I like so much. And then it just sort of evolved into the pinball themed.
Yeah, you got to get out here.
Chunky.
You got to get out here to Dallas. You need to come to the pinball convention that they do out here every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I know. So we lived in Austin for a lot of years, and they got a great pinball place there. It's called Pinballs.
Mhm.
Pinballs
the
is
original
awesome.
name.
Yeah, with a Z. Pinballs with a Z.
Yeah.
You look it up.
Oof.
Yeah,
Does,
it's great.
does skee-ball know that you cheat on it with pinball though?
Yeah, right.
Chewy, come on, man.
Don't.
Yeah, hot takes. All right, hot takes.
There's
I think
actually,
I'm safe. All the skee-ball / mechanical keyboard community crossover. I think I'm safe.
I think you might be the only one.
Right, I'm the middle. Like I'm the middle of the Venn diagram.
it sounds you sound like a Chewy and I, where you got a lot of hobbies. You go from hobby to hobby.
Right. Yep. Kind of bounce around. But pinballs in Austin is awesome. They got like you can bring booze in. They have nights where you could bring your own booze, and just sort of for a bucket of quarters, sort of roll all night. They had all the best machines. They had like Medieval Madness, which if you know anything about pinballs, like one of the pinnacle machines of all time. It's like the most popular pinball machine. They had that there forever, and you could like buy it. You could if you had 16 grand to drop. You could buy it, and it's like so tempting. It's like if I had the money, I would be buying this like today. So pinballs, in Austin is awesome, but I don't know about the pinball convention. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, it's out here. They rent out like one of the biggest event spaces in the area, and they literally just bring hundreds of pinball machines, and it's just like,
yeah,
I bet that sounds
convention.
like a nightmare.
Yeah, it's at the embassy in Frisco, Chewy, the one that's
oh yeah.
So
cool.
All about that one.
It's
and
if
anyone's ever around Madison, then we got it's not as it's not as big, but we have a cool sort of vintage arcade here where you just sort of pay a flat entry fee and then you can stay and play sort of as long as you like. And they have like a rotating sort of offering of pinball machines that are pretty good.
Yeah, we have a couple of bars out here that are like the pinball arcade kind of style. Some of them have pinball and skee-ball. And beer. Legend. It sounds like that would be a
throw a keyboard in there and we're good.
just I could just bring our TX60s in the bag, and then we can bring a laptop and hang out and type and shoot some skee-ball and play some pinball.
Yeah, sounds great.
But no, to get back on topic with the bumper itself, obviously it's still in kind of it's still in the interest check phase. What is kind of your next step with it? Like, what are you?
Yep. So the interest check's been going good. People have been giving some good feedback. The feedback we've been getting echoes a couple of like little design tweaks we wanted to make. So we're going to make those. They're pretty subtle, but we're going to make them. And then before we go into group buy, we're going to get another prototype made. So it's pretty much exactly what the final will be. So that'll be the next phase. So as soon as we can get that, those changes finished and then the new prototype made and in our hands, I think we'll be good to go, barring sort of any troubles with the new prototype. But they're pretty minor fixes, so I don't really anticipate any issues. So all that sort of going smoothly. I think a group buy will probably happen, I'm hoping, sort of early mid-July. We originally sort of scheduled it out to be late June, but having to do another prototype round, I think it'll delay us probably a couple of weeks at least. So knock on wood, everything goes good. We'll have a group buy in July sometime.
That's awesome. And then do you already have like an idea of what the like production timeline would be or anything like that? I know that's kind of early, but
yeah, it's a little early. I think it will just depend on It'll depend on the final quantity, but if it's 50, I don't think it should take super duper long. So we're gonna get them manufactured, um, and sort of like prepped for paint and stuff overseas and they're gonna ship them to us without any kind of coating. And then we have a gentleman locally who we've been working with, who actually is the one who Cerakoted the black connectors, who's gonna
Mm.
do all the coatings for us locally. So his timeline isn't very long. He said it'd probably take him a week or a week and a half. So, um, all told, I don't know, it might be a month, but when we do the group buy, we'll definitely have that info to post.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will say with the bumper, obviously I'm super excited for the board. I think it looks awesome. The flippers to me are like the coolest accessory right now. I've seen some people talk about how it would be really cool to have like different colors to match your key sets and stuff. So and do different like materials and whatnot. So do you have plans to make that a thing that'll be up kind of on the Zap website at some point?
Yeah, for sure. At some point, definitely. I mean, when we do the group buy, we'll be including an option to get, like, if you want extra sets of bumpers, like maybe in different colors, like that'll be part of the group buy. But in terms of other materials too, that's something we sort of started looking at because people had some really cool ideas about what you could do with the bumpers. We had some 3D printed, and those turned out okay. But we did it just as like, oh, how do they look and feel? And they look pretty good. But other people have mentioned like wood ones would be so sick. Like I can't like not have that. Like I have to have that. Like the wood would be too good. And like in my mind, like to do a 3D printed one would be cool. Like I see like one being real sculptural. Like I want one that's like a sculptural relief, like scene of like some weird, like the old Roman temples and
Yeah,
stuff. Like we have like this elaborate scene carved into the side. Like doing something like that would be super cool. I feel like there's a lot of options too. And when we do the group buy, we'll release um, the files for the flipper. So if someone wanted to get their own made, they could. Or just like experiment with it, because the options we present will be limited, in some capacity. So
right.
we'll open up the files in case people want to go crazy. But I think wood would be sweet. Like the sculptural ones, I think would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I think it would be cool. Like, there are people that are saying like doing different different ones for like different key sets and like having it be almost like how the desk mats are done per key set. I think it would be cool if like someone started doing it for to go along
Sure.
like what a Rama cap would be.
Right.
Like that would be cool. Obviously, it wouldn't. If there's not as many boards out there, I'm not sure what the demand would be per set, but it would be pretty cool to see. I've also thought about like what would it be to like get just like a generic white one and maybe have someone like hand paint it, and like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
like a custom engraving.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be nice, get your name right on there, and
Yeah, I
basically
think that would
be
be
a
sweet.
really really cool nameplate.
Yeah, you could even
Yeah,
get
that'd be
some
awesome.
some
Some people
like
who have talked about the brass ones have said that, like, oh, it'd be cool to get a brass one and then have some lettering or something engraved onto the side of it. It's like, ooh, that would be a pretty slick look.
yeah, you could even get like different, you could do what you're saying about get different woods and then maybe like get like a stabilized wood and do some acrylic coloring in there and cut it yourself.
Yeah, that'd be
That'd
cool.
be pretty people could get creative with it. That's the cool thing about it. I think, especially if you're planning on releasing the files for it and so people can get the dimensions and whatnot and kind of make their own. I think it'd be a cool way to be able to customize a board past just putting keycaps and a cable or the color of the board. It puts a little bit more personality in it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. And like I like that idea especially because that's not really something we thought about originally. So the fact that people have these kind of ideas is exciting to me because that's sort of the point of it. It's just sort of um, you know, offer it up, like, produce and sell some of the keyboards, but then try and be as transparent as we can about like the flipper files and stuff. So people want to customize them and kind of go crazy they can. And I think some of the ideas people have had have been awesome and not really something that we thought about or anticipated that much. So to see it sort of take on a life already is pretty exciting. So I'm stoked to get an actual run made and in people's hands and just sort of see what happens.
Yeah, we're definitely excited. Chewy, do you have an announcement? Do you have something?
I think we can announce it now. We will actually be getting with a prototype of the bumper, pending everything goes okay with the second prototype. I'm really really excited. We were talking, and we'll be building it on stream, doing a little review. Hopefully to get that out before get some more hype behind it before the group buy starts. But I'm excited. Honestly, it's such a neat board, and I'm excited because you said the weight is like 4 pounds.
Yeah, the weight. So that's my board right now, which is like I mentioned, with just the PCB and the caps, and the one I have has got the polycarbonate sides in it. So that one, like all assembled, is 4 pounds. Without all the guts in it, it's like, I don't know, 3.5 maybe.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to get my hands on it, excited to build it. We'll be announcing all of that here in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. We are going to move to a quick Q&A question. If you have any questions for John or any questions for us, just please just tag us at Mechs on Deck and ask away. We will answer anything that we can, hopefully related to keyboards or cables
or
Or
pinball.
skee-ball.
or pinball, skee-ball,
Yeah.
other random hobbies. So.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. How much faster have you gotten at making cables?
Oh man. I mean, yeah, definitely faster. From like the earliest days until now, man, I don't even know. Again, cable depending, I think, like a pretty basic cable now might take, let's just say start to end is a half hour. So what is a half hour now? In the early days, I don't know, probably took twice that long. Like probably cut our time in half at this point. I feel like you can only get so fast.
Yeah.
Like a 10-minute cable would be amazing. I feel like I would need a machine.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to have some sort of aid there from a robotic like arm or something that's
Right.
like programmed to move in a certain way.
Yeah, we need a robot for sure.
So next one, when are you going to restock the black detachable cables after tomorrow's sale?
Yeah. So order is on its way. So we ship the sort of uncoated connectors to the guy, and then he coats them and sends them back. So new shipment has been sent out. So we'll have them back in, I don't know, a couple of weeks probably. As soon as we get them back. We're doing more this time, so we'll probably do a split type of deal where we offer some as cables again, and then reserve the rest for like kits or just loosies.
Nice.
So a couple weeks probably.
And then here's a good question I didn't even think about. How do you test your cables?
Yeah, so ideally we try and test every cable on like the actual device that it's going to be used on. I mean, as much as we can. So that's one of the form fields on the order pages is like, what are you using this cable for? One, to just kind of confirm there's no weird issues with the order, but also so that when we go to test it, we can hopefully test it in real life and just sort of like measure what's up. So that's one way we do it. But the other way is we'll generally just do a pretty straightforward test with a multimeter and like some breakout boards where we test the conductivity and make sure there aren't any shorts. In the case of like a USB-C cable, we'll test the resistor that's in the connector just to make sure it's proper and working as it should. And we just do all that pretty much with the multimeter. So we do kind of two tests. We do like the conductivity and short testing with a multimeter, and then we'll plug it into a device or a couple of devices and just sort of test it in practice.
Yeah. And I'll answer Krelbit's question. We don't actually have the ability to VIP just yet.
Soon though.
We're
soon, very, very soon.
As our Twitch channel grows, we will be able to do that.
This has been a huge help.
Sorry,
I have Talisman Solutions. I'm sorry. Thank you. I wasn't awkwardly laughing at John. The stoic face.
stoic
Every time I
face.
look over, it keeps messing with me because I'm just like, wait, what's going on?
That's the other thing a lot of people don't know about me is I can speak without moving my mouth or
Dude.
any part of my head at all.
The ultimate ventriloquist. The
Right.
ultimate
Yeah.
ventriloquist.
You got it.
Next one is do you have rug burn on your fingertips from sleeving cables? I'm sure you have some intense
so-
calluses.
Yeah, I do. So we were talking about this the other day. I feel like I have the hands of like a saltwater fisherman, like who just like pulls up anchors all day. Like our hands are pretty callous just from like sleeving the cables and then from like pulling the cords and like making coils. It definitely calluses up your hands. So I have like permanent sort of like bruises on like the palms of my hand and like calluses kind of just all over.
I can imagine. Yeah. Both Chewy and I used to play guitar and bass, and so calluses, especially on my left hand, were pretty intense.
Yeah.
I still have my middle finger one.
Yeah.
That one never really left. I burned off one of them like really bad. So let's see. How much faster do you foresee cables being in stock once you have new helpers?
Sure. So, I mean, the sort of the bottleneck is just labor, right? So I think, we're 2 people now. So like say if we added 2 people, ideally that sort of like shortens it by half, right? So if say we're doing stuff every 2 weeks now, hopefully when we're up to speed with new people, it's like every week. And then as they get better and we sort of get faster and things start to like step into place a little bit better, get a little faster from there. And if things are still going good, maybe we add more people and it gets even faster from there. We're also just kicking around a lot of ways just to try and make things better. I mean, streamlining our operation as well as like trying to change things with the website to make it a little bit better and communicating more clearly. I think all that stuff combined will hopefully make things better. But if we're 2 people now and soon to be 4, hopefully it shaves everything down by at least half. That's the theory anyway.
So do you have your like own office space right now?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We call it a workshop, but it's like an industrial space kind of in an old warehouse.
Nice.
In downtown Madison, Wisconsin, which is where we live. Yeah, it's awesome. We actually just started working out of there a couple months ago. It's kind of like I don't want to call it an incubator, but it is sort of like a warehouse where people rent space. They lease the space out to like people who have small businesses that are just kind of getting started. So like early stage businesses. So you had to apply. We applied and got in there, and so now we have like this cool little workshop.
Nice.
Very awesome.
Pilot Pilot XJ asks, why don't we get to see you, John?
Right. So that's because I'm a total failure of
We
technology.
tried.
We're trying. Like I don't have a streaming setup, but so we were trying to get I was trying to hook up a cam link through my DSLR so I could have a video feed. And it worked all right, except the camera that I have it's not a video. It doesn't have a video native to it. So there was no way to get rid of like the focus box that shows up like in the middle. So it's like everything looked great except there was this big box just like covering the entire scene that we just couldn't figure out a way to get rid of it. So it's just a shortcoming of my camera, and I was just too tardy in like testing it to be able to get it to work today. So that's my failure. I screwed it all up. My camera setup was just not working.
It's okay. We have this beautiful photoshopped painting of you.
Right.
You've made it way more entertaining. You now have to top a picture from here on out.
Right. So. Oh God. I only wish it was animated. That would be a dream.
If I had more time, I would have tried to look into doing that, to like go into Photoshop and making like a GIF of
or maybe
the
just like the eyes kind of move back and forth like every once in a while.
See, have you utilized the community to help out with the growing pains of being a small business?
Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, well, read that one to me again.
So have you, John, utilized the to help out with the growing pains of being a small business?
Okay, so that time you cut out, Chewy. You're gonna have to read it again.
Okay,
Here.
my apologies.
One more time.
All right. Have you utilized the community to help out with the growing pains of being a small business?
Oh, the community. Okay, yeah. Yes, I think in a way we have that. So that's one sort of tactic that we've started testing the waters on a little bit. Is like, how can we get some remote help with cable making? So that is something we started exploring, where we're sending like a small batch of like test sort of cable kits, more or less, to some people to sort of put together and send back to us for us to sort of just like inspect and like see how they did. And these are people we know and kind of trust. So far it's been good. But again, like these people are, adults who have jobs and stuff. So it's like they don't have a lot of time to spend on it. But the idea I think is good. Like if we can get some remote help sort of doing cables in batches, I think that would be sweet. It's something that we were started looking into for sure. And so far it's not something that has made its way into the store yet, but the idea was we can sort of start to, in between some of our more scheduled openings, do like what we did sort of with those faded cables and just release like a batch of cables for immediate sale sort of periodically to kind of ease the pain a little bit of the scheduled, of the scheduled openings every couple weeks or whatever. So yeah, that is something we've explored, although it hasn't really come to fruition quite yet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Krelbit asked, "Are you coming to the Minneapolis meetup in July?" And then I'll
Ooh,
extend
okay.
that to say, do you have plans to go to any meetups in the near future?
Well, the Minneapolis one was the only one that we've really talked about. Us meaning me and Angela. So I would like to go to that one, and we've sort of made tentative plans to do so. That's not too far for us, so I think that would be an awesome one to go to. So yeah, I would say at this point we got it penciled in on the calendar, and we're gonna try and make it.
That'll be awesome. That'll be
Awesome.
Yep.
A little bit far for us, but if
It's just an easy 18-hour drive north.
John, you must be around solder fumes a good deal. How much
Mm-hmm.
effort do you put into protecting yourself from exposures to the fumes?
Yeah, we definitely have some things in place to battle that, and we're gonna do some more to make it even better. Right now, we have sort of like little desk fans on our work desks that pull fumes away from the table, and then like we have other fans sort of blowing air out the windows. Um, what we have sort of in the works in our new space that hasn't been built out yet, but is we want to rig up um, like little sort of fume extraction tubes. I don't know what you call them, like for real, but um, I've seen them in other factories and stuff where they have sort of like these tubes that they can pull down like right over the desk. It's like a vacuum that sort of sucks the fumes out. So it's just like tubing, with fans sort of built into it to pull the air out. So we're going to run those from our work desks out, to the rear of the shop and out the window at some point. So for now we use fans. Before too long, we hope to have sort of these like vacuum fan tubes system sort of set up.
Yeah, that's kind of something you don't really necessarily think about when you are doing something like this, especially if you're like looking to hire people, is like things like that. Cause you're like, all right, now we have to worry all about like different codes and stuff we have to meet
Right.
and
Yep.
FMLA and all that. And yeah.
Yeah. When it's just yourself, you're kind of like, whatever. Like, I'll just be in my basement and breathe it. I don't care. But then, when there's
No one's gonna. I can't complain to HR on myself.
right, it's my own fault. But yeah, now that we've sort of are in a space that isn't our home, and like we're hiring people, we're trying to hire people, it becomes a more pressing issue. So yeah, we rock fans at the moment, and then at some point we'll get the sort of vacuum hoods and stuff rocking on the workstations that have soldering stations on them.
Nice.
Nice. John, what is your favorite Switch?
Favorite Switch? Well, I don't have an awesome Switch tester like Chewy does that he shows all the time. But
No, this isn't even the fun one.
right. I think. Well, I mean, my personal favorites of the ones that I own are probably my box, the burnt oranges. I really like those. I like I'm a bad typer just sort of naturally. So stuff that's like a heavier kind of switch I like because I feel like with the really light ones, I make a lot more typing mistakes, like errant keystrokes and stuff. So like the heavy switches help a little bit with that. So probably my burnt oranges probably.
Nice. And
And I
then
haven't I'm bad about buying switches. Like I don't own a ton.
yeah.
I get some here and there, or like we bought I'm able to randomly test stuff just by accident. So like we ordered a drop or mass drop alt for the shop to sort of run some tests on, and I can't remember what was in that. It was like the only option for switches that was left, and I was like, I don't even know what these are, but whatever. So we ordered it, and it's like they're super clicky, and I don't like them. I like the burnt oranges are kind of right in my wheelhouse.
Nice.
Nice.
And then are you a coffee drinker or an energy
Oh.
drink guy?
Ooh, I'm a coffee guy.
Coffee guy. Are you like a fancy coffee guy, or are you just like, nah, give me that Folgers. Give me whatever.
I'm kind of in the middle. So we have I rock like a little mocha pot. I don't know if you know a mocha pot, but it makes like a real small sort of concentrated cup of coffee just on the stovetop. So we'll usually rock the mocha pot. Although we did splurge last week and we bought a Chemex
Ooh,
coffee brewer for the shop. So now in the shop we can rock a Chemex.
you're getting fancy. You gotta get
Very nice.
you gotta find your local roaster and get some fresh roast of the day beans.
Yeah. We get that Collectivo coffee from Milwaukee. That's a good one.
There you go.
Right where our shop is there's like 3 or 4 coffee shops like right
Mhm.
around us. So it's like there's no shortage of like good coffee, although buying beans from there is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're right in the heart of like East Side coffee scene.
There's like there's a guy that is a local like roaster in the suburb of Dallas that I live in, and he'll like, if you live in the same city as him, he'll hand deliver your coffee to you
Oh wow,
at no charge, which is
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
that was pretty sweet. I'll subscribe to a service like that. Drop off coffee at the shop.
Right?
That'd be sweet.
See, I do the cold brew. I got a cold brew maker like a few months ago. So like it stinks because I'm like I do enjoy getting really nice coffee, but you can't with cold brewing it just kind of like loses some flavor of like any kind of specialty coffee. So I just get like Kroger brand whatever. But if you leave it in there for like 5 days of just sitting there brewing in the refrigerator, which you're not really supposed to do, but oof, you want to talk about waking up in the morning.
It just like all evaporates, concentrates down into like a syrup.
Pretty much. I mean, I have added a little water at sometimes, but yeah, it wakes you up. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely a coffee fan myself. I've been drinking coffee this entire time out of my French press, which I currently have
There you
right
go.
next to me, but I drank
Sweet.
it all.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that.
So
So we're all getting GMK coffee, right?
GMK coffee.
Let's see. I think we only have a couple more questions left. Favorite cap profile. I don't know if you are asking just John or everyone, but we can all answer.
Yeah, cool. I'll go first. I like DSA. I know it's maybe not everyone's top pick, but I like it, and I think mostly it's for aesthetic reasons. Probably, I just like it when it's all even and looking super clean.
You're a true DSA user because you said I like DSA and then immediately apologized for it.
I know what I'm getting myself into saying that. It's okay.
It's basically like
I said, I'm a terrible typer, and I don't care. Like I just like the ones that look cool.
you
And
know
I like the looks of those.
you used a Mac so long, you get that flat profile on the Mac keyboards. You go to DSA, it's like the same thing.
I know. It's one step at a time.
Yeah.
I ease myself back in.
What about you, Chewy? What's your favorite profile?
Cherry.
Cherry.
Specifically when they're colored red and green.
With a little bit of white thrown in.
A little bit of white thrown in. No, cherry. I enjoy SA. I'm not a big fan of DSA. Outside of that, not really. I haven't tried cat. I've not. If I did, I don't remember it. But I've not tried cat profile. And I have tried SA Uniform Row 3 and was not a fan. So
do you have Here's a question that I thought of a while back when you guys were talking about it one day was, do you have a preference when it comes, is your preference different when it comes to gaming? Like, do you have a preference for just day-to-day keyboarding versus gaming for a while?
Not really, personally. I after a while, yeah, after a while, I really started kind of realizing that if I'm gonna make a board, I want it to be able to be the jack of all trades board. That's why I stopped getting HHKB style boards, because I need that left control. So I just like Cherry. I've tried DSA. I tried SA. That was terrible but, for gaming. But I mean, I think typing on SA is great, but I still think if I'm building a board, I'm most likely choosing Cherry, regardless of whether I'm bringing it to work or gaming on it all day.
For me personally, my favorite, I don't really necessarily have a favorite. I feel like I like a little bit of everything. I'm kind of someone that really just wants to have at least one keycap set in every different profile, just to change it up a little bit. For gaming, I definitely prefer Cherry, just because I feel like it's easier for me to feel where I'm at without having to look down. But just based off the way it's, the rows are differentiated. I don't think I would ever be able to use DSA for gaming. I did that once, and I accidentally pressed my alt in Overwatch like 4 times.
Yeah.
So
I'll do it.
So yeah, I think for gaming, for me, it's definitely Cherry. But overall, I really like SA for typing. In my work board, I went from using SA for like 6 months, and then I used DSA for like 6 months, and then now I've used Cherry for like 7 or 8 months. So I kind of move different sets, different profiles for work. But I think I end up having to get Cherry sets most of the time, because that's kind of like the most popular. It's the most easily attainable because of how many GMK sets there are running at a time.
For sure.
But
yeah. So
he's just digging a hole in his bed.
That's awesome. Well, I think other than that, what about Revive DSS? We'll take this will probably be our last one. I have no interest in it. I will not be purchasing DSS.
Yeah, I've seen it and it looks intriguing, but I haven't dug into it too hard yet. I'd be curious to check it out though.
Yeah, I'm always interested to try something out, but not particularly like dying to get it.
So, well, anyway, that'll wrap it up. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. I just posted a link, but make sure to check us out Tuesdays at 11 Central. We release our weekly off-air talk show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. And then we do our streams every Wednesday at 8. We have some more video content coming very soon that we're very excited to talk about. We have our next Tuesday's video is going to be with John. Hopefully we can get his non-stoic face in the shot.
Yeah, we'll have a live video for that one.
That'll be much better. Well, I don't know if better is the right word. It'll be different.
Yeah, it might not be quite as epic, maybe.
So, but yeah, be sure to check us out on YouTube, and we've got that. And John, go ahead and tell us about tomorrow and the rest of Zap Cables.
Oh yeah, so those black detachables we were talking about before are going to be available tomorrow starting at 2 p.m. Central Times. I'm sure they'll go really fast. So if you don't get in, apologies in advance. We're already got more in the works, so they'll be back soon. And then otherwise, there's always DIY stuff available, a la carte, sort of bits and pieces available at zapcables.com.
Awesome.
Let me go ahead and post that. So you can join John at his Discord as well. Other than that, buy a Switch tester if you can. You should, just saying. But thank you. One more time. Also, switchmod.net, promo code Mechs on deck, get you 4% off. They have pre-orders going on right now for 3203 and 3204. And yes, we will be doing switchmod.net. Check that out, Mechs on deck. We will be doing a promo with Zap Cables. We're just ironing out all of the details of that, and we're not going to release that until the how-to video comes out. 3204 is in stock. Sorry about that, Carl. 3204 in stock. Mechs on deck, 4% off. But yes, we'll be releasing that video Friday or next Tuesday for the DIY stuff. So be sure to check that out as well. We'll probably have it posted in our Discord, so you can join our Discord or Zap's Discord as well. We'll send it his way. So thank you all for joining us. Eric, I'm going to close this out.
Yeah. Again, we appreciate everyone coming by and just kind of run through again. Thank you for all the follows. We really appreciate it. We're still new here. Put YouTube in the chat. Follow us on YouTube, like Chewy said. Video's going to be coming out Tuesday, going through building a cable. It might go well. I'm sure it'll go. Whether or not I know we'll end up with completed cables that are working. So I'm really excited to have John here tonight. It was a good time, and thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. And like Chewy said, don't forget to check us out and check John out at zapcables.com. And we'll see y'all again real soon. Bye now.